So today we are at Talus Expedition Gear, and I've got Dan Sunderland here, and we are going to talk about Dan's company, Talus, and how they got started here in Idaho. They are an Idaho-based manufacturing company. They make truck bed and SUV camping setups for the back of your truck or SUV, allowing people to be a little bit more compact when they're outside and getting out there. You know, the pandemic really hit things hard, and
Yep.
it really expanded the market, I'm sure. So stay tuned. Let's start with just a little bit about your company and how you got started and why Idaho and what made everything kind of work for you.
Yeah, so I've been in Idaho for close to 10 years now. I'm originally from Colorado, grew up in a small town there. But when it came to building our drawer system, what we noticed was that there was a lot of bulk and waste when it came to camping, RVs, camping trailers, all that kind of stuff. And we really were wanting some of the simplicity of camping like I remembered it as a kid, where it was basically out of the back of our Jeep, but with all the creature comforts of the big RVs.
Yep.
So we actually created a drawer system, and we have them for the back of a pickup truck and also for the SUV, like the one sitting next to me here. And it's going to provide you the water, the power. You can charge your devices from it. It's got a stove built in, propane, and a refrigerator. All those creature comforts, but it's in a small package that the two of us could grab it out of the back of a 4Runner, put it in the garage, and then it's a takes the kids to soccer practice, but on the weekends you put it back in. Mine stays in my truck all the time. We go on long trips with it, multiple weeks and whatnot. But so we were looking to solve that problem of bulk and waste, basically. So we were looking for something compact, and so we started out with the truck bed drawer systems, and that's where the tech help came in, and you guys helped us get that first round launched.
Yeah, so originally the design was for the truck beds was the bent sheet metal or bent aluminum.
Correct.
And so you reached out to us to digitize the DXFs or the profiles of the actual sheets themselves.
Yeah.
To make sure everything fit, get it into the computer, and that's what you use one of our students for.
Correct.
And then as you were actually meeting some of those, you were producing those parts and coming up against some of those manufacturing limitations, you made a change.
Yeah, so originally we had all broken aluminum, like you said, but there were a lot of components that had to nest together. You had an outer shell and an under shell with drawers nesting inside of that. And so we had you guys do some 3D modeling and drawings, and then convert those to, actually it was the other way around, really. You drew the flats that I had drawn,
Yep.
turned those into a 3D model, and then nested them all together to make sure that everything would fit together, because there were a lot of components that had to go inside of each other. And that worked, but we ran into the limitation of the machinery that was bending the aluminum and the tolerances associated with that. Something would come in slightly under, and now the pieces that went inside of it didn't fit anymore. So when it came to a transitioning from a one-off build to more of a production standpoint, we shifted over to skeleton and skin kind of. I call it an endoskeleton because it just kind of is the opposite of what people expect. But it's like we are. You have a skeleton on the inside and skin on the outside.
Yeah.
So now we have a square tube aluminum frame that builds the main structure, and then we have panels on the outside. So the concept is the same. All the components are still there. It's just how we built the structure, the frame, and the skin, versus previously.
Yeah. Well, and meeting those manufacturing needs, whether it was the original need of needing the files digitized so that they could be laser cut, and then once that wasn't met, and being able to make it out of a tube frame, because part of your whole mission is to keep everything in hopefully Idaho, but at least the U.S.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. So like all the laser, all the aluminum and whatnot, we source from Idaho, from up in North Idaho. They do all of our laser cutting. We used a few different companies here in town to do different bending or routing out different components, brackets, like the faceplate. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera, but this faceplate has all these different holes, the logo and everything. That's all routed out by a company here in town. So a router runs and does the logo, and then each of these holes through where we have components coming through, that's all done on a router here in town. So trying to support those local companies is a big part of what we do.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, and that's a lot of times to get more profit, people will try to work their way around that stuff. But what we're seeing more and more, and what we've been in talks with a lot of other companies, is supply chain.
It is a big problem.
And
yeah.
so when you can either doing it all here within a 10-mile radius, that supply chain issue becomes a lot
Yeah,
easier.
Yeah, the supply chain is a couple things, and a lot of it is the transport time. There's a long delay in getting a lot of products. The other thing is when you work with local, smaller companies that have a specialty, you can get a higher level of quality. You can get a higher level of customer service from them. So
Yeah.
if I'm doing a custom build for somebody, and at the last minute I realize I need something made, the fact that I've got these relationships, I can call up somebody and say, here in town or nearby, and say, hey, I need this one piece cut out. Can you get it for me tomorrow? And I tell you, 9 times out of 10, they're able to, because we
Nice.
have that report. If you are importing everything, and obviously we have a need to import products, there's nothing wrong with that. But you're not going to get that. You're
Yeah.
waiting 30 days or whatever. And that's if the trucking is going to be able to provide it to you, if they can get unloaded,
Yeah.
things of that nature. So supporting those local companies helps us out a lot, because, like I said, if we do make a change or we do need a custom piece made, they're here in town to do it. And I don't have to have the expertise, the equipment. They already have that. They're good at their job. Utilizing them is a big service.
Well, and you can get away with, your facility. This new facility is amazing, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
mean, it's a huge upgrade.
Yeah, it's a big upgrade
Huge
for us.
upgrade.
We're super happy.
And they have a whole, retail shop here with everything that you may need, and we'll talk about that later. But the other thing is inventory management too, because this product is big, and it's
It is.
heavy, and so the idea that you can run, and I know some of the other companies that you support too, like Overland Solar, the fact that they can run a manufacturing run for maybe a week, build up a little bit of a backlog of product, but you're not having to sit on 6 months worth of product because it's taking 6 months to get it from China too.
It's true, and we ran into that a lot this summer. Orders we had placed in November of last year for preparing for spring, rooftop tents and things like that, showed up in the fall.
Yeah.
After that sales cycle had kind of ended, and so we've made a lot of changes, and we can get into the retail side of it later. But to ramp up what the spring is going to look like, so that we can hopefully provide a buffer for the customer,
Awesome.
and they won't experience some of those same wait times. We'll be able to kind of help buffer that for them. So
Very cool. So that kind of really, in a way, so part of that was obviously staying local. Part of that was you outsourced some of the manufacturing in terms of not doing it. You found that having your own plasma table wasn't necessarily where you guys was your core competency. You could take advantage of someone down the road in Garden City,
Exactly.
get that stuff laser cut, and then do what you guys do best, which is the design, the assembly, and provide that level of customer service for your customer.
Correct.
And you can, hand it off to somebody else to make your parts.
right,
And
we can
so-
focus on what we're good at, and that is building compact door systems, compact campers for the overlanding and outdoor industry. And they can focus on what they're good at, running their laser, running their router, things like that. And it's especially with labor and everything, it's just so much more efficient to just have them. And the equipment's expensive, and they can churn that out, and it really benefits
Part
everybody.
of their business model.
Part of their business model.
And now for you, that's transitioned your business model and your mission a little bit to the sense of now that you're not having to maybe worry about that as much. Now you have this beautiful retail shop.
Exactly.
You can help support companies like Overland Solar, some of these
Yep, Osprey Off-Road lights are
Osprey
made here in
Off-Road,
town.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And you're also doing classes and education around the sport of this expedition off-road type of recreation too.
Definitely. So yeah, we obviously still do our manufacturing and on our building, but we've shifted and put our focus more into the overlanding industry as a whole and all the components that takes. And having our drawer system is a great base point for getting your vehicle built, but you also need the tent, you need the solar panels, you need the awnings and things like that. And so having a local company, even though some of this is brought in from overseas, we do support as many Idaho brands as we can. You mentioned Overland Solar's all made here in town. The Osprey Off-Road lights are made here in town. And there's a few other Idaho companies as well. Being able to provide that whole package. And then the other side of that, okay, now we're encouraging all these people to get into the outdoors. We all love our Idaho mountains and our U.S. as a whole and our globe as a whole. So how do we encourage those people to do it in a way that is good for
Responsible.
everybody? It's
Yeah.
responsible, exactly. And so we built a classroom. and we're starting to teach classes or invite professionals to come in and teach classes on basic etiquette, some of the equipment, whether it be recovery equipment or things like that, even to the point of encouraging some of the basic first aids to kind of not to replace any of the emergency services by any stretch of imagination, but be able to have people get the basics so that they're safe when they go out. What do I need to have with me? You know, what precautions can I take in case
Yeah.
I get into a problem? So teaching that education, teaching the tread lightly thing of let's not trash our mountains. You know,
Yeah.
when there are a lot of people getting into the, especially close to Boise here, the foothills and the Owyhees. What can we do to make sure that they're there for everyone to enjoy for a long time?
Yeah.
So we're really pushing into that.
At least, so that it's long enough for us to enjoy it.
Right, exactly.
Like the next 25, 30 years at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, that's really cool.
we actually do involve our kids a lot too. We try to be very family friendly. All of our
great.
events are very family friendly. My kids are here with me frequently, and they go on the campouts and trail rides with us. And we really encourage people to bring their kids. And a lot of us have a background in the automotive world and stuff like that, and racing and whatnot.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we like so much about the overlanding is it is the perfect, in my opinion, family friendly event.
Yeah.
I can go by myself and do some crazy trails and have a good time with my buddies, but then I can turn around and take the exact same vehicle out with the kids, and we can go have
Everybody
a good
has fun.
time, and it transitions over back and forth however we want to go. So
Yeah, and the pandemic really solidified a lot of that for a lot of companies. I mean, the outdoor industry as a whole just shot through the roof.
at one point it was up 300%, and I think it's probably even gone up more since then. And what that's done is you've got a lot of people who have been in this outdoor world for a long time, for their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have a lot of people who are brand new to it. Maybe they've never owned a four-wheel drive vehicle, and now they're wanting to get out on the trails.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't know camping, and they want some creature comforts. You know, quite frankly, I don't want to go back to a ground tent. I like
Yeah.
the fact there's a mattress in my rooftop tent.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for everybody, but it is for me.
Yeah.
I do like it, you know,
Yeah.
and so being able to help those people figure out what they want, what they need, and not overspend, because they maybe don't need a crazy dedicated off-road vehicle. Maybe they need their station wagon
Yep.
with a rooftop tent and a little galley in the back, some
Yep.
water. So helping them
day.
helping them to figure out, and the important part is to go out and enjoy it and have a good time.
Well, and like you're saying, for those comforts, it's really transitioned well for your brand in particular, because you are getting people that don't necessarily have the money, or in my case, the storage for a trailer.
Yep.
Because that's another huge part of the investment that I think people forget. And so being able to put this into the back of my car or get a setup for my roof is really ideal, because then I don't have to worry about storing it when it's done. It just sits there, and I can put stuff on top of it if I need to, because you guys,
Yep.
are building the frames out of,
It's all aluminum.
Yeah, all aluminum. So
Yeah.
it's not weighing anything down, but it's still stout enough for me to stack my groceries on and all that other stuff. So
Definitely. Yeah,
no,
they
that's
have
great.
refrigerators built into them. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. Trailers are great for their purpose. Got nothing wrong with them. But you're right. You know, if you live in a neighborhood where you can't have one in your driveway, you're paying to store that, and having it in your vehicle. And we mentioned this beforehand, is the convenience of it.
Yeah.
If it's ready to go or nearly ready to go, I can get off work on a Friday, throw some groceries in the truck,
go.
and go.
Yeah.
We don't have to plan in advance. Oh, okay, I go pick it up the trailer and then get it prepped, and did I remember to unwinterize it? And, all
Yep.
this kind of stuff. It's like
Yep.
the convenience of it, and when it's right there at your fingertips, you will go and you will enjoy it. It's like if you take your fishing pole to work, you can go fishing after work.
Yeah.
But if you don't take your fishing pole, you won't go.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
that barrier to entry is.
It is, and we put it on ourselves.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But it's very true and very real. And there's a lot of areas you can leave after work at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, and you can be in the Owyhees camping within 2 hours.
Yeah.
You can be up above Idaho City in just a couple of hours, and
Yeah.
then you come back Sunday night and you feel
back at it.
rejuvenated, and you go back at work.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for
Yeah,
that.
we're pretty lucky in Idaho.
We're very lucky.
Very
It's
lucky.
very diverse terrain, very accessible. Obviously, we have to do our part to take care of it.
Yep.
And the tread lightly, the not littering, staying on trails, all of that becomes very, very important. But we're very blessed to have it here.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you being available for, coming out and talking to you a
Anytime.
little bit. And this is Talus Expedition Gear in particular was one that I was really excited. We worked with them, what was that, 6 months ago?
Something like that.
Yeah, and then I was just driving by and saw their new location. So I was really excited to see that you guys have grown.
Yep.
And that you've turned this, turned it from what it was to what it is. And it's a really cool setup. I really like your retail shop.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a huge upgrade from the warehouse, and
Yeah.
we definitely appreciate though the help and what you guys offered. It got us a service that we couldn't afford to do on our own. That 3D modeling, the software, and the expertise to run it. It was a huge part of getting us moving forward. So I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's that again. That barrier to entry. We're in a really good niche of since we're employing students.
Yep.
And it's about their learning as much it is about the success of your company. So if the student takes, and I know Zachariah, when he was working on it, he had to learn a lot in order to get those sheet metal parts to work inside SolidWorks. And so,
well, then converting them into a flat piece and realizing that there's bend tolerances, like what is that radius going to be, and how big does that sheet need to be in order to bend into the right size? And then we had holes that all had to line up. So you had multiple layers of holes. Some were referenced from the top, some were referenced from the bottom, and then you had to come up with an overall dimension. There was a lot involved in being able to create a whole thing flat, and then also having it come together as a 3D piece. But ultimately, that's manufacturing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it was a perfect project for our students because it was a small enough project where the student could feel accomplished.
Oh, definitely.
And it really suited your needs because we came in at a good price, and you didn't need it right away. And so my students that have full-time school can work on it. And
right. It was something we could work on over time. And I think you could see as we got more into it and his understanding of what we were trying to accomplish and the product he came by the shop I think 2 or 3 times, and we kind of said, okay, here is what this piece does, and here's why it has to have that bend to it or that jog to it. And that's from his standpoint, having to understand what the product was, what its goal was really instrumental in him being able to then draw it.
Yeah, we encourage the client interaction because as we were talking about in a previous conversation, those soft skills for students are also really important. Being able to talk to people versus just sit in front of a computer.
And ultimately, he had to recognize, and I think you could see that light bulb turn on for him, that this is a physical thing I'm building. It's not just a pretty picture on a computer screen that I drew in SolidWorks. And to see the first time because he came over after we'd had the first round of parts broken, and to see is like, hey, I drew that flat. I saw the 3D picture of it, and now it's sitting in front of me. Was a big part of that. And being able to talk to the customer, in this case myself, as far as what I was trying to accomplish, what I was trying to build, allowed him to do his job. And I think that will carry into any future jobs for him as well, because whether it be your boss or the end user, they're going to have the same interaction.
No, that's great. Well, I look forward to maybe doing more work with you guys in the future. I think it's a good fit, and I hope that your classes and your product line and your retail shop all just get crazy.
Definitely. We're excited for it. We have a good time here. We're doing meetups every month, and just encouraging people to come and hang out and build a lot of that community and get people to meet like-minded people. And so it's really important.
So we'll put a link to your website and your product and your pages about your classes and everything else.
It'll be on all of our social media and on the website and whatnot. So.
Cool. All right.
Well,
thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you having me.
Yep.